around here, and I realise, well, I've not been back to the New Forest. It's a lovely part of the world, but not to drive around. Anyway, I was going to talk about the bike. So it is a Street Triple RX. So basically it's a Street Triple. It's a Street Triple R, which means it's got bigger brakes, it's got adjustable suspension, and to my knowledge the X brings with it quick shifter and a Daytona rear subframe, which gives you a different seat basically, and an ever so slightly different look. Yeah, hell of a piece of kit. It's 600cc or 675 3-cylinder, and they are pretty revvy, much revvier than I thought it would be. You know, it's got quite a bit of top end to it, but it's quite a torquey bike, especially for 600. It's got a little bit of poke everywhere, but you can really wind it on, and it keeps getting going basically. It's a smashing bike if you're not going to do any touring. Sort of 85-90 mile an hour. The buffeting on your head is just far too much for a long journey. It just drives you insane. So while I don't doubt that people are touring on stuff like this, not for me. I had a Sprint GT and that was perfect. Plenty of fairing on it, somewhere to stick your luggage. It's a totally different type of bike. Perfect for sort of small journeys, just to blast out on the day off, that sort of stuff. It's a very, very sort of light bike, easy to get on with. My missus rides about on this and she has no bother with it at all. Sprint GT was just a bit too heavy, a bit too unwieldy. She can tootle about on this all day long. I've got the Arrow can on it. I don't think it makes a great deal of difference, to be quite honest here. You do get a little bit more popping and spluttering when you're off the throttle in a low gear. Quick shifter's probably one of my favourite things on the bike. Never driven a bike with a quick shifter. It only does upwards gears. But when we're running it in, which was a pain in the arse, because according to the manual you'd only be doing 60 mile an hour in 6th gear. Yeah, the quick shifter sort of got rid of quite a lot of the agony, and something to play with whilst you were sort of sticking a few miles down on it. Quick shifter only seems to work well if you're on a bit of power, so it's not like you would just use the quick shifter now, for example, 4th gear, 30 mile an hour. You wouldn't just knock it up into 5th, but you would on a bit of throttle. It's a lot happier. And obviously when you twist the throttle right back and give it a bit, that's what the quick shifter's for, just to rattling through the gears. It's brilliant. No clutch, just knock your left foot up and it'll change up a gear. Brakes on it are amazing. They're Nissan bikes. Much bigger brakes on the RX version than on just a normal triple. I've got the smaller version of these brakes on a Fireblade we have, and these are much more superior. It's not just the initial bite, you just continue to feel like you've got sort of endless amount of braking. Even it always feels like you've got a bit more left in the tank. Interestingly, I had a go on a 1050, a speed triple, the new 2016 version, and sort of left me wondering, did I make the right decision? There's a few £1,000 in it, never mind anything else. But in terms of what you get to do with this bike, is you just get to use it all. You know, the speed triple is an awesome bike. Probably my favourite sort of bit between this and that is actually the seat. The seat's so much more comfortable on the Speed Triple. I don't find the seat on this particularly comfortable at all. The riding position itself is perfect. I've had to get the bar end mirrors on it. I'm a little bit too bloody wide for the normal sort of mirrors. I think the normal mirrors look better. It's not the kind of look I'm into with these bar ends, but they do the job. They stick the mirrors down at the end of the bike, down at the end of the handles. I can see what's behind me. That's what they're there for. But they do really sort of, whether it's truly kind of limits your filtering ability or whether it's just me, they do sort of feel like it makes the bike quite a lot wider, to the extent where you might not go for a gap you would normally go for, because they do add another 3 inches onto the total width of the bike. That's what I mean with the filtering. I would just normally scoot up that. I think I'm going to struggle to. I'll give it a bash for the sake of this. Yeah, that is close. Well, it felt close. Yeah, brakes are awesome. Clutch is not too heavy. The 1050 engine, same on the Sprint GT or the Speed Triple. Clutch is just quite heavy. Never usually a bother, but just if you're out in traffic or you're pootling about, just gets a bit weary and your left hand knows about it after a while. Yeah, so quite a nice light clutch on it. In terms of other things, I told you the brakes are awesome. Suspension, it's a wee bit solid. Obviously it's got adjustable suspension so you can change it. I don't know, I might start prattling about with stuff like that, but as it stands, bumbling around sort of half decent roads, it is a bit too firm. It just is. Suit a track day, suit sort of somewhere with nice, long, flat, well-kept roads. But when you get going, if you are on the right road, you won't change the suspension for nothing. The dial and dash and whatever, that seems to sort of be fairly standard on a few Triumphs. I quite like it. It's got a gear shift indicator. Never thought I'd really bother about one, but it's nice to have it, to be fair. Don't really sort of pay a lot of attention to it, but it's nice to know what gear you're in. Sometimes you look down. It's got lap timers and stuff like that on. I think that's a load of bollocks, to be honest. I can't imagine anybody doing track days would be bothering with something like that. You're better off just recording your laps and working backwards rather than using something like that. It's got 2 trips on it, like most things do nowadays. Clock on it, and it lights up well when it's dark. It just does the job. Digital speedo, analog rev counter is kind of what everybody wants, I think, or most people would want. It's just the job. It's basic, it's no frills. It's got no cruise control or heated grips or anything like that, but it's not really that sort of bike. It's just nice, light, revvy, a lot of fun, and it is what it is. Gear 30 mile an hour. It just don't give a shit, does it? You won't pull any power wheelies on one of these things, and for them that are sort of used to riding around as 1000cc, something that's got, you know, a lot more speed essentially, you might find these a little bit lacking. I don't really felt like it did. I think they're perfectly adequate for the roads. I think, you know, your 1000cc's, track days maybe. But, you know, if you watch that and you think, nah, it's not fast enough, it wasn't trying to pull a wheel up, then yeah, it's definitely not the bike for you. I sometimes find it a little bit lacking, it runs out of puff. But you don't tend to run out of gears.